Welcome to Combat Sports Talk, a podcast dedicated to UFC and Bellator discussion, the MMA community, and combat sports in general. I'm your host, Ryan Smith, and this is episode 51, and we have both KC Onyebuchi and John Keys on the show at the same time. This is going to be monumental. Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, that's what we need. The something like that. Yeah.
I like it.
All right,
man. This is gonna be crazy.
To our listeners, treat yourself.
This is either going to be the greatest combat sports talk episode ever, or it's going to be the worst. It's one or zero, win or lose. It's going to happen.
100%. My goal today is to make you have to do a lot of editing in post.
Thank you.
I'm with that. I am with that. Okay, that's what we're going for. 100%. You're up to 2 a.m. doing this, man. All right, we're doing this.
All right. Well, this was Mother's Day Massacre weekend. We had both the major promotions fighting it out for supremacy this weekend. Bellator had Bellator 199 at the SAP Center in San Jose, California. The last fight in their heavyweight Grand Prix, that was Ryan Bader versus King Mo. And then UFC from Rio de Janeiro, UFC 224, Amanda Nunes versus Raquel Pennington. It was a fight to the finish, but just like the main event for UFC 224, somebody got the beat down dropped on them, and that was going to have to be the red-crested stepchild.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm pretty sure Bellator put together one heck of a card, and I cannot wait to talk about it.
All right. Well, you know what? We are going to definitely get into the official decision, because that is how we roll.
The official decision.
This is the official decision. This is the segment where we talk about the key fights from the weekend. Both of these cards were on May 12th. Bellator 199 from San Jose, California. Bader versus King Mo Lawal. Aaron Pico, the guy who cuts the strings from the puppet, defeated Lee Morrison via knockout in round one. It was called the body shot that rocked the world.
I like a good body rock.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey, man.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was just saying, Boss Rutten loves liver shots, man. So, hey, any shot to the body, that's what we're all about today.
Oh, man. Some unknown guy from Paris named Cheek Congo defeated Javi Ayala.
The guy who's on, I believe this makes it a 6-fight winning streak. Yeah, just a no-name dude.
Really?
D'accord. Oui.
Oh, my gosh. He defeated Javi Ayala. I'm
who
disappointed.
did you have picked for this fight, real quick? I keep forgetting.
Okay, so rule number 3, never pick Czech Congo. Let's go back. Let's go back to the rules. Rule number 1: never pick against the Russians. 2: never pick against the Brazilians in Brazil. Rule number 3: never pick Czech Congo, because he will only disappoint you.
It's time to throw away all of those rules.
Well, we will see. We will see. So Javi Ayala. Let me say this: when I found out that Czech Congo was fighting Javi Ayala, I tweeted out to Javi Ayala, "Congratulations on him winning the fight."
So you jinxed it.
No, dude, just because I congratulate you on winning the fight means you still have to win the fight.
Well, man, that's a total jinx, man. You need to buy him a 12-pack of Coke now, all right, just to make him feel better, man.
I don't know. I mean, Javi Ayala, he probably could stand off and not getting a couple of Cokes. I'm just saying.
I mean, not to prolong it, but we really do have to give Czech Congo some love here. I mean, the guy's been a dominant fighter for many, many years, and honestly has put together a good enough performance to give him a title shot at the eventual winner of the Grand Prix.
And mad shout out to that, because he'd been a monster fighter for years and had very little ground game. All right,
Yep.
because I've never seen his ground game effectively. So I mean, that's an achievement within itself.
Let me ask you guys one question. How are you going to have a heavyweight Grand Prix and the only heavyweight you got in the promotion, if he's this dominant fighter, isn't in the heavyweight Grand Prix? That's a problem.
He wasn't a big enough draw. That's all it comes down to.
Yep. And that's a shame. That is a travesty in itself because he is a monster. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. He's
I'm sorry. He's a monster, and he should not at any time, not been in that tournament. He should have been in that tournament.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
All I
think
know,
it just came down to money. Like who's gonna bring in the most money? And Chet Congo has fans like you who secretly love him, but you refuse to support him.
Let me just say it like this. Chet Congo is a human version of Sully from Monsters, Inc. Yeah, he's scary.
Oh, wow.
I bet you won't say it to his face, though.
You know what?
No.
I'm liking my odds. I'm just saying.
Oh.
All right, let's keep going. Adam Piccolotti defeated Carrington Banks via submission in round 3. In the co-main event, John Fitch defeated Paul Daly via unanimous decision. There was a lot of time on the ground. I know Paul Daly said that he was going to punch a hole in John Fitch, that John Fitch was not going to be able to out-wrestle him. I don't think he got that. I think he got wrestled more than plenty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should have been, Paul Daly has zero effective ground game. I'm sorry. Not with John Fitch, the likes of John Fitch. It's almost a negative, so.
Right. And then Ryan Bader defeated King Mo Lawal via knockout in round 1. This was a 15-second knockout. Now, before you guys comment on this, I just want to say, if you had a chance to listen to King Mo on Ariel Helwani's MMA Hour, he talked about how he never felt better, that he finally gotten all of his surgeries and all of his recovery done, that he was going to defeat Ryan Bader. I mean, he talked so much crap about how he should be given a title shot for beating Ryan Bader in the heavyweight Grand Prix because they're both, I guess, light heavyweights. And Ryan Bader finishes him in 15 seconds. Like, is there crow? I don't know that there's enough crow on this planet that he can eat.
Nah, I'm not going to do him like that. The problem with this is you are Mr. I love trash talk. It can't work out 100% of the time. So, yeah, I'm not going to dock him any points for failing at coming through.
You do know that he should be glad that he did that in Bellator.
Ooh.
And let me say why.
Yeah.
Let me say why. If King Mo Lawal, after all that trash talk, lost to Ryan Bader in the UFC in 15 seconds, do you know we would be right now talking about the buffer factor? The fact that by the time, let me go over the buffer factor for you, John. The buffer factor is this. It takes Bruce Buffer about 56 seconds to announce a regular card. A main event card can take up to 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So the buffer factor says this. A fight has to last at least as long as it takes to announce the fight.
Okay. Yeah.
15 seconds means that he could, by the time Bruce Buffer finished announcing that fight, King Mo Lawal could have been knocked out 10 times. 10 times.
Ouch.
So he better be glad. There is no buffer factor for Bellator. There is no buffer factor for Bellator. So all I got to say is, yes, he's got to eat crow something for getting knocked out that fast in a main event fight. There we go.
Oh, well. What else we have?
Shall we go on? UFC 224, Nunes Arena in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Amanda Nunes versus Raquel Pennington. The first fight of the night was a retirement fight for Vitor, the Phenom Belfort. He was facing off against Lyoto, the Dragon Machida. And that fight ended in the second round via face kick destruction.
Yeah, he has been susceptible to that front kick and got him again.
That was PTSD. I'm sorry. He got kicked in the face, and he flashed back to Anderson Silva kicking him. And I'm pretty sure.
It was just such a perfectly placed kick. The thing is, when you watch a Machida fight, I think a lot of the average fans that I was with were like, oh, this is going to be another boring Machida just kind of circling around. But the guy is such a skilled striker that he just waits for the perfect opportunity. And if it presents itself at all, you're going to have a finish just like we saw with Vitor here. Kind of a shame to end the career like that, but man, what sportsmanship did Machida show there? It's well-placed kick and just kind of stands back and is like, all right, this is done. I believe.
I love it too, and you're right. When you watch a Lyoto Machida fight, you are not going to see a brawl. You're going to see superior technical striking. Okay, and I mean, and he's so quick. He jumps in there, he hits you 3 or 4 times, and he's out before you even flinch to throw a counterpunch. And and the knockout that he did was so Bloodsport Jean-Claude Van Damme that he knocked him out, looked at him, and then bowed to him. I was like, that's fight of the year just on that alone. Okay, I would give him a trophy right there.
That was a gangster move. Yeah.
Well, the thing for me is that after the fight, he called out Michael Bisping, who's also looking at his last fight in the UFC. All I got to say is this for Michael Bisping. I said this. We did a live broadcast. I was with George Stallworth. We did a live broadcast, and I would encourage all of you out there to go and check the live event because he talks about Lyoto Machida's style of karate, which is based in Shotokan karate, which is also Georgia's style of karate as well. And so he talks about this in and out motion that Lyoto Machida does so well. But I want to get to this. Lyoto Machida finished Randy Couture with the Karate Kid crane kick to the face, and it ended Randy Couture's career. Now we got the front snap kick to the face of Vitor Belfort. If I was Michael Bisping right now, I'd be like, I'll fight anybody but Lyoto Machida in my last fight because we know how that's going to go given the fact that was a left kick to the right side of Vitor Belfort's face, and we know that Michael Bisping cannot see out of his right eye, so he's not going to see that kick coming. It's almost a guaranteed money shot to land.
Well, hopefully they make this fight happen.
I know. I would love to see that.
I would love to see all first round of that. Okay, I think it's going to be a 1-rounder, and it's going to be a hell of a 1-rounder. Oh my God.
All right. Well, number 6, John the Hands of Stone Lineker defeated Brian Boom Kelleher via knockout in round 3. I tell you what, Kelleher took so much damage that it looked like he was going to make it through the fight, but it only took one left hook, and it was lights out for Boom.
I did not understand this fight one bit. Kelleher had the advantage from the start, just his height, his reach, and the guy just could not figure out that if he had countered with his left, Lineker's hands were down so low. All Kelleher had to do was counter with the left, and it never happened. He just took beating from a smaller guy. It made no sense.
That's what we call heart. Okay, that's all that was. Heart and tenacity and what was it?
Testosterone.
Testicular fortitude. No, we will go with testicular fortitude because that's what Lineker has always. He's always brought that though. He brings an aggression that's so appreciated in my violent eyes when I watch MMA. I mean, he's a dog. He goes for it. Congrats to Lineker.
Yeah, the big thing for me is that I think he landed a big shot early, and you know what Mike Tyson always said, you can have a game plan until you get punched in the face, and I think we don't know if Kelleher had that game plan to counterpunch with the left. Yeah. He got punched in the face, and next thing you know, he was running for 3 rounds. So, I was like, I can't believe he's still in this fight because he took some major shots.
He did take some shots there. It was gross.
Mackenzie Dern defeated Amanda ABC Cooper via submission in round 1, but submission is a bit misleading because Mackenzie Dern landed an overhand right that took Amanda Cooper from 3D to 2D. I mean, she turned completely. She was like a hieroglyphic.
Yeah. I still maintain that it would not have been a submission finish had ABC's foot not got caught up under her, so she couldn't pull guard or anything. So it was more in just the way she fell.
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Well, I personally thought that she lost the fight from that interview. Okay, just for the simple fact that, and I've always said this, that the person that flinches the most is going to lose. And she was so off focus when she was doing that interview. I'm like, she's lost. You know, Mackenzie came out there, tried to shake her hand. Took a while for her to get a handshake, maybe a day or so, but she tried to go out there and be as polite to her as possible. But Amanda wasn't having it. She was super mad. She went in there. I think she went in there unfocused, and once again, she got turned into a hieroglyphic, and everything went wrong from there.
Okay, but let's just be clear. We're talking like Amanda Cooper had no reason to be mad. Mackenzie Dern missed weight by 7 pounds. This is like unheard of.
That's unheard of.
This is 115-pound women, and she walks up, stands on the scale, weighing 123 pounds.
But she did it with no remorse, not felt bad about it at all. She stood up there like, yep, missed weight, and went and got her bag of goodies.
That's right. It's like, I mean, Amanda Cooper had every right to be mad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was, at least she didn't show up with a bag of donuts and then just sat there and eating it on the scale. I mean, that's the only other thing that she could have did.
Yeah.
You know, exactly. You know, but, you know, it was, I'm sorry, but not really sorry because I'm going for a win here. And that's exactly what happened. And, you know, we'll have to talk more about that later.
All right.
Because there's a lot to say about that.
Okay. We will cover that a little bit later in the show. Kelvin, because I have so much trouble calling this guy Kelvin. I call him Kevin. It's Kelvin. Kelvin Gastelum defeated Jacare Souza via split decision. It was a close fight. I could have seen it going either way. I had it 2-1.
Was right.
I had it 2-1 Gastelum, but I could have seen it going either way. What'd you think, John?
I had bias. I love Jacare. I you know, it just I could have easily gave it all to Jacare and been happy with it. Gastelum, don't get me wrong, he's young. He's gonna be fantastic. He's gonna be phenomenal. Okay, because and I see nothing bad about him at this point. Of course, he's got a lot more to learn, but and he's becoming a legend killer slowly but surely. Okay, because I mean, he's got Jacare under his belt now. He had Bisping under his belt now. Who is next?
Well, it may be the winner of Yoel Romero and Robert Whittaker. That's the fight he says he wants. Do you guys think he deserves it, KC?
Yeah, he's absolutely earned his way to it. In my book, he's kind of worked his way through the division. There's not a lot of people who can challenge his overall skill set. I mean, he went toe-to-toe with one of the most dominant jiu-jitsu fighters in the world and didn't submit. So, yeah.
I think give me one more fight. Give me one more fight for Gastelum. And let's just make sure, because, I mean, yes, he went toe-to-toe with where, you know, everybody talks about this guy's one of the greatest jiu-jitsu fighters, this guy's one of the greatest jiu-jitsu. I think Jacare is the bar in which they measure everything else, too. And, yes, he did go toe-to-toe with him, and I'm glad with that. But let's put it out there. His striking is not that good, okay? I want him with another person that's closer to his skill level, and let's see if he can do it. If he can pull it off, give him this title fight with no regret.
Yeah, well, you know, I think that's fair. I personally think that Kelvin Gastelum has done what it takes to get that title shot. And I respect the fact that someone like Jacare Souza had Kelvin Gastelum in an armbar, and it was super tight, and he had to defend that armbar for like a full minute against somebody who, he had it locked. He just couldn't extend it. If he had extended it, it would have been all over for Gastelum.
And that one move alone, the fact that Kelvin was able to be stuck in this spot, fight his way through and end the round unscathed, that speaks volumes. And it burned up all of Jacare's energy. Yep. Jacare had nothing left after doing his best to try to submit Kelvin. So yeah, Kelvin showed a lot of weakness in his striking game, primarily in just the fact that he had no answer for I want to say it was the left kick, right hook combo that Jacare had. No answer, but Kelvin's got a chin on him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he is made of granite. For taking hits. And, and for him to be on the ground and defending that armbar like he did, it's against Jacare. Jacare said that, the cut was not good for him. I'm not going to make any excuse for Jacare because I firmly believe that once you close that door, you say you're 100%, regardless of what happens, win or lose. So,
unless you're Kamaru Usman, then he's only 30%.
Hey, he just puts in just a little bit is all it takes for him to win, and that's why I support my Nigerian brother.
I'm not going to say anything to that.
Let's go to the main event. Amanda the Lioness Nunes defeated Rocky Pennington via TKO in round 5. This was a dominant performance by Amanda Nunes. She defended her title. She is and still the bantamweight champion, the women's bantamweight champion of the UFC. The one thing though I have to say is that I really thought this fight was going to go earlier. So I'm surprised that Amanda Nunes had trouble finishing Pennington.
Rocky had mad heart. So I felt like Amanda should have changed her nickname to Amanda the Lumberjack Nunes, because she was just chopping away at that lead leg, and you'd think it would have been more effective because Pennington really her entire leg was shaking every time she tried to plant on it. So is this just a lack of power from Nunes to finish a fight? I don't know. Maybe she was just trying to be more tactical, but overall, you can't deny that it was a dominant fight start to finish.
Absolutely. About that leg kick. You're right. Every time she stood on it, it just was shaky. So I want to see what that leg looks like right now. I need you need a picture of that and see if it looks like how Uriah Faber's leg looked like after Jose Aldo had a few rounds with it. I wonder if it's looking like that. But as far as the beating was so sound and violent. It was an anger beating, but without the anger. Okay, yep. There was like and then at the fifth round at the end where the blood is just smearing everywhere. I'm like, it's turning into a bloodbath. Stop this, please. I was literally looking, saying stop this, and my goodness, I feel for her. Yeah, I feel for her for that one. I hope she's okay. I hope she is okay.
Yeah, that's the thing about the Muay Thai clinch, and so we've talked about how to do a Muay Thai clinch and what happens whenever you do that. I was talking to George, and he was saying, it's also called a reinforced knee. By holding the head down and then driving your knee up into someone's face, you can do a tremendous amount of damage. Nunes landed a ton of those in round 3 and round 4. Round 4 is where Pennington actually got her nose broken. I think she also got cut to the top of the head, around the forehead area. Those were devastating knees, and it seemed like Raquel Pennington had never experienced the Muay Thai clinch before and didn't know how to defend against it, because those knees were able to, Amanda Nunes' knees were able to do tremendous amounts of damage that her fists weren't able to do earlier in the fight. Yeah,
she looked like a rookie in there, but you're also fighting one of the baddest women in the world, so.
So, hey, John, that made me think of? It made me think of that Anderson Silva Ace Franklin fight.
Oh, Rich Franklin fight where he just basically broke his face on 3 knees. Oh, yeah. I mean, it was, oh God, it was that, I mean, oh my God. How can I even describe that? Violence personified, with knee strikes like that. We see those in movies, and, you know, they're really horribly acted, but the martial arts action is fantastic. And, I mean, it's hats off to Amanda Nunes for really putting them in there. I mean, she planted them and planted them well, and I'm lucky to see that. I like to see what her knee looks like, because I'm pretty sure it's probably hurting too, the way she was throwing them in there.
All right. Well, let's close the book on this one and put it on the shelf, because this card is history. And wait, what's that? You know what time it is? It's time for Hype Train.
Who dat?
The Hype Train.
This is the Hype Train, and we do this after major events because we want to talk about whether or not we are hopping on the bandwagon, what we call the Hype Train, of fighters who had very interesting performances over the weekend. Got a couple for you. You guys, all you have to do is tell me whether or not you are on this fighter's Hype Train or not. I'm going to go like this. I know I said I wasn't going to throw as very many in this segment, but I'm going to have to do it. Czech Congo, you guys on that Hype Train?
You better believe it.
Man, I've got the VIP pass. Oh my.
Yes.
Okay, that is the
It's
crazy
just
train.
you, man.
I'm not on that
Dude,
train. I'm going to let y'all go.
Just you. How have you not recognized the greatness of the Frenchman?
No.
Exactly.
Never. All right. John Lineker. You guys on that Hype Train?
Nah. He's got too many holes in this game.
I'll say yes. I'm on it because I like the tenacity that he brings. The aggression is fearless. He's not raging out Iaquinta crazy, but I'm with him. Okay.
All right. Mackenzie Dern. I know somebody was singing My Girl last time I brought her up. So
look, all I know is she darn near missed weight by 10 pounds. So I can't be on board with this because she's going to have to move up a weight class. There's no way that Dana White stands for this.
John?
I think that it was. I say tactical mistake, but not mistake. She did it for the win. I'm not proud of her, but I'll get on the train for a little bit. I'll see what goes to the next stop. Okay. Let's see what she does with that next time.
You know, I don't know if we've ever declared a Hype Train. Well, let's go with this one first. Raquel Pennington, she showed a lot of heart. You know, especially, you know, we're going to talk a little bit more about what happened with her corner. But she showed a lot of heart. Anybody on the Raquel Pennington? She was ranked number 2 at the time, so she climbed her way up the ladder.
It looked like a number 2.
Wow.
Wow, man. Kick them while they're down. I mean,
okay. it was set up like that.
Soccer kicks are illegal.
No, I'm for real not on that Hype Train though, because I don't see a pathway for her to get to the title. And when you're at number 2, where else are you gonna go? You're just gonna forever be a gatekeeper. She's the Misha Tate right now.
Oh wow, I like Misha Tate. Man.
Oh, Misha was the best.
Yeah, but you're right though. She's at the top of the mountain, and she's just not able to push over. So she's gonna be forever stuck at number 2 until somebody knocks her down. So unfortunately, as much as I respect her for going back in there for a round 5, you know, for a round 4 or a round 3. Okay, to be quite honest, I can't be on that train.
All right. Last one. I don't know that we ever declared whether or not we're on Hype Train or not, but Amanda Nunes.
Oh, I've been pro Nunes from the jump. Even when
I am. Oh.
No, that's it. It's just she's been good for a while.
I am now, okay, because I've watched her. I've watched how she progressed the fight. I've watched how she is her striking is crisp and clean and brutal. I appreciate all that. I'm with it now. Give me a shirt.
All right. Well, as for me, you know, Amanda Nunes, you know, I took notice. I was standing on the platform whenever she finished Ronda Rousey. But the thing is that now, I am on the Amanda Nunes hype train because of what she did after the fight. And I thought that was so meaningful, given the fact that after she had defeated Rocky Pennington, she brought in her fiance and Rocky's girlfriend, and they were all in the ring together because Tisha Torres, who is dating Rocky Pennington, trains with or has trained with Amanda Nunes. And so with tears in her eyes, she's talking about how this fight meant so much because she respected Raquel Pennington so much, and they had so much of a huge friendship together that it was hard to fight her because, she had to. It was her job as a champion to defend the belt, but it was not something that she wanted to do. She had to do it, and that her respect and their friendship meant more to her after that fight than it did, before. That post-fight comment that she had won me over as a fan. That Kelechi or KC is what makes that champion that you want to see in the UFC. That is Amanda Nunes, and that she's won me over as a fan. I'm strapping in. Give me the seatbelt. I want a 5-point seatbelt. I'm gonna be here for a while.
There's so many things problematic about what you just said, but I'll let that slide till the post-show comments.
Okay. All right. Well, the trains have left the station. It's time to go into Finding the Angles.
Finding the Angles.
This is Finding the Angles. This is where we look at the news and headlines making waves in the wake of the events on this weekend. We've got a lot to talk about, but the first thing is something that happened midweek. Yair Rodriguez, Pantera was his nickname. He's cut from the UFC for turning down a fight versus Zabit Magomedsharipov.
Yeah, that doesn't happen if you have a union. Just saying.
I'm saying that if you're supposed to be a fighter, you're supposed to fight. Doesn't matter who they put up in front of you. Fight them. That's it.
But that's not the case for so many other fighters. So many other people get to pick who they fight, and they're telling Dana. It's the whole purpose of calling fighters out at the end. To some degree, fighters are choosing who they want to go up against stylistically. I mean, it's problematic that unless you're a superstar, you have to just toe the company line. It's just a tough pill to swallow.
Well, for me, it's paying dues. Okay, if you're the champion and you call out somebody, that's fine. If you are a challenger, if you're not a champion and you call out somebody that sits there and says, you know what, that really would be a good fight. Okay, well, that's fine. But if you're coming up in the ranks, all right, and you say put them on a dotted line, that's what we really want to see. Don't matter who. That's the fighter I would pay to see time and time again. If the fighter says, I don't care who gets in front of me, I'm knocking them down. Okay, yeah. That's what the fight is supposed to be about.
So I definitely hear you guys, but the fact is that someone like Nate Diaz, in so much as he says he'll fight anybody anytime, guy turns down a lot of fights. And he's not cut. He was actually offered the GSP fight. I don't know if that's going to actually happen or not, but that's what they're talking about trying to put together for him versus GSP. Crazy for a guy who sits and turns down fights. You have people like Alexander Gustafsson, who's like, I'm not fighting unless it's a title shot. Why are these guys staying in the UFC? But Yair Rodriguez, who is arguably one of the future stars of the UFC, with all the things he can do, from the gymnastic kicks that he does, he works elements of capoeira into his fighting style, spinning attacks. He's got an exciting skill set that I think over time would make him a wonderful fighter. I don't know why he turned down the fights, but the fact is that you need this kind of youth in the UFC. I don't think you have talent that can replace him.
Nope.
No, you don't. But I think it wasn't necessarily the fact that he turned him down, but how he turned him down on Twitter with the hashtag fake news. I think that might have had something to do with it. It's one thing to say, well, no, at this time we're still negotiating. It's up in the air. I don't know how I feel about it, but we'll see. But when you just throw out there fake news, yeah, that doesn't look good. It's not a good look.
Well, you know who's waiting in the wings. Scott Coker said Bellator wants to see the pink slip before engaging in a conversation with Yair Rodriguez. But he said they would be interesting. So the reality is that even though they said that they are cutting him, and even though the rumor has it that the paper's already been mailed, certified letter to Yair Rodriguez, until we see the actual paper that says that he is no longer a fighter under the UFC banner, Dana White could change his mind at any time and be like, just kidding.
Yeah. That's Dana's control over these things goes from petty to brilliant, and it's who knows what direction it goes from moment to moment.
And he is petty. Let's put it out there. He's a very petty man. So, like I said, I think that Twitter post might have upset him, and he shot from the hip, and then now he's thinking back like, man, what am I going to do this? How am I going to smooth this one over? So I look to see about a week, maybe a week and a half later, and he'll say, well, we decided to bring Yair back. He'll fight a undercard, and all will be forgiven.
Okay,
Yep.
so both of you are saying Yair is coming back?
Yeah. I am.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to be the contrarian here. I'm saying that Yair is gone, that we are going to see him in Bellator, and I think that that's going to be one of those that Dana White's going to wish he had back. Let's go on to the next one. USADA, the United States Anti-Doping Agency, is releasing the Clean Fighter Awards. Basically, the USADA is awarding fighters for 25 clean tests. The fighter that achieves 25 clean tests will get a T-shirt under the hashtag Follow My Lead with a big 25X branded on it. And their slogan is Train Clean, Fight Clean. They've filmed videos with Stipe Miocic, Eddie Alvarez, which you can see on YouTube, Rafael Dos Anjos, and Tisha Torres. They're all promotional videos extolling the virtues of USADA. What is your reaction to that?
This is a waste of time, money, and resources. No one's.
Hold on, man.
Are you going to start fighting clean because they gave you a T-shirt? That's ridiculous.
All I'm saying is that I got to pee 25 times and I get a T-shirt. I mean, I can do that. Y'all don't want to know what I've done for my Flash Gordon T-shirt. Okay? Y'all really don't want to know that. Okay, peeing 25 times to get a T-shirt. That's a low ranger right there. I can do that. Okay, y'all just let me know.
Well, I will say this, that there is a star-studded cast of fighters who are on the 25 clean test train. Holly Holm leads the way with 35. Chris Cyborg follows her with 33. You got Eddie Alvarez, Vitor Belfort, 32.
Can we put a pause here at those two? You just gave me Cyborg and Vitor. So is it never having had a bad test?
It's 25 consecutive clean tests.
See, but that's even skewed because if you look at Holly Holm and Chris Cyborg, they're two of the most tested fighters out there.
Yeah.
So you can get 2-3 tests in a week with these guys. So,
but at the same time, the measure is 25 in a row. It's not, 25 over the course of 2 years. Conor McGregor's on this list with 27.
Is he even a fighter still? Does that count?
I don't know, but Johnny Hendricks barely made it with 25.
All right, so that's suspect in itself. Can we be honest there?
Yeah.
No, we know
that.
we
just didn't get caught.
No, all I got to say is this: we know this is legit, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because Johnny Hendricks has 25 consecutive tests that were clean, and he's on like a 6-fight losing streak. So you tell me if this is not legit.
I'll grant you that. It's not the same. His body doesn't look the same.
So here's my thing though. I was wondering if you guys were gonna yell conspiracy here, because think about this. Earlier, maybe 3-4 weeks ago, we announced that Josh Barnett had been cleared of USADA violations. Last week, we talked about Junior Dos Santos being upset because he was wrongly accused of being a cheater. Also, Little Nog, Antonio Nogueira was cleared because they had tainted supplements that were popped, but were no way showing that they were trying to cheat. And so USADA is starting to take fire for all these false positives. And then miraculously, these clean fighter awards come up to have fighters talking about how great and how necessary USADA is. So do you guys, John, you have a reaction in light of these false positives that have started to appear?
Yes, I do. They need to do it. They need to do it better. I mean, honestly, because you're sitting there and saying Vitor is 25 clean, when we all see Vitor's body now versus 5-6 years ago, and you're telling me that there's no reason that he hasn't had any type of supplement since in the past 25. I have to question that. Now, as far as these false positives keep coming up, USADA's been doing this for how long, and they're still getting it wrong. They've got to do better. I think they need to be a lot more proactive in what tainted supplements are. I think they need to be a lot more. They need to investigate further with the fighters if they do get it, because I mean, you get so many, after a while your credibility becomes questionable.
Yep.
All right. So fighters who miss weight are now 6-0. Should something more be done about missing weight? So, Mackenzie Dern missing by 7 pounds was just a travesty. Fighters were up in arms. I don't think there was anyone on Mackenzie Dern's side on this one. But the fact is that coming in overweight it seems to be an effective strategy.
You have to look at it case by case, because I'll go to Yoel Romero and even Smiling Sam Alvey. If you're coming in on a late fight replacement, saying that you miss weight, I don't know that that's a fair thing. So, you could look at Yoel and say, oh, it was strategic for him. Why kill yourself to make the weight if you're going to be at a disadvantage anyway? In his case, it made sense, but there's so many other times where you get like a Smiling Sam who's coming in like on a week's notice, basically, or even a couple days to come in and step in, and you lose 20% of your purse because you couldn't make weight when there was no one else available. So I think you almost have to look at this as a case by case thing, and Mackenzie Dern is an absolute outlier. This isn't normative of fighters missing weight.
And I agree with Casey. If you have a full camp, you should be able to make weight, unless something catastrophic happened, like an injury, a staph infection, or something like that. That would hinder that progress. If you come in on 2-week fight notice, okay, that fighter should redo the fight at a catch weight. Give some leeway, because this fighter has not had the full advantage of doing a weight cut and a camp. Okay, it's got to be case by case.
I disagree with y'all. Here's the reason why. If you are going to fight, if you're going to raise your hand and say, I'm going to fight at 155, you were saying that you were going to make 155. If you can't make 155, then don't raise your hand when they come to you. There are other fighters that can fight.
You can't put that on the fighter, because most of the time it's the UFC coming to the fighter saying, will you take this fight?
Will you take this fight at 155? You can decide right now. You can decide right now if you're going to make 155. As much as we were applauding Max Holloway for, the UFC 223 stepping in there, dude came in to fight at 155. He reported that he was weighing at least 190 pounds when he got that call.
And
Okay.
that's why the whole thing is ridiculous.
But no, you don't change your position now. Because what you were saying is that Max Holloway should not have gotten his purse, should not have gotten his purse taken away if he failed to miss weight or failed to make weight, because he came in at 190 saying he could make 155, and that we know defies the laws of nature.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's also, the UFC never should have booked that fight. That was ridiculous. That's on the UFC. And this goes back to me saying this is case by case. Can you really say that he didn't give a fighter's effort to make that weight cut when he was that close? He actually almost made the weight.
So here's the thing.
Say he should have been allowed an extra hour and he could have gotten it.
Here's the thing. None of these fighters who come in late were planning to fight on that card. So losing 20% of your purse is still 80% more than you would have made that weekend because you were sitting down eating Cheetos on your couch watching the fight. So basically, it pays not to make weight whenever you're called on a late fight replacement, because what ends up happening is you weren't going to make any money that weekend. You just made 80% of a fight purse. So it's a win-win situation, and frankly, your odds of winning that fight being overweight go up dramatically when you miss it. They're 6-0. So
maybe we should just not have late fight replacements.
It's part of the sport.
Should they call off the fight?
It's late fight replacements is a function of the fight game. We know that people get injured, for a myriad of reasons. Tripping over a cable is one, and so we need to be able to plan ahead. That if you have a main event, you should expect to have someone waiting in the wings to replace one of your main event fighters. If it's an undercard, then it's less important whether or not someone makes weight or not. But when it's a main event, yeah, absolutely. Like Yoel Romero, I mean, he should have been. They should have called him up when the fight was signed and said, "We want you to be ready in the event that something happens there." And that's what should have happened, instead of them trying to penalize him or something like that. It worked out for him either way. He's in the main event for Chicago.
I mean, the problem with that is it works in theory. It falls apart because of the notion that the UFC is really terrible at paying their fighters. So you're going to have a guy who goes through an entire training camp and he's ready to go and may not make a paycheck. Because the UFC is not going to pay someone just to be on standby.
Well, I think that perhaps that's something that you should negotiate is, okay, if I'm on standby, then you pay me show money for showing, and maybe there's some guarantees that you get the winner of this fight. And so you don't go through a full fight camp. You just manage your weight in the event that you need to cut, because you don't know if the person's going to get injured 2 months before the fight, 1 week before the fight. You don't know when it's going to happen.
All right.
So it should be, we're going to contract you to show up and make weight on weigh-ins. And so if someone, it could be one of these two fighters. If you want to train and do a full training camp, great. If you don't, just make weight. We're gonna pay you to make weight. I
legitimately like this idea. I think that would fix a lot of issues. So you don't have a number 11 fighting for a title.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
you fixed it, guys. Good work.
All right, yeah, we're gonna write a blog about it.
Save the world.
All right, let's write a blog about it. We'll put it out there. Fixing the ladder, and now we're fixing late fight replacements. Let's go on, guys. Tito Ortiz coming out of retirement for the Chuck Liddell Iceman trilogy. This is one that in the olden days of the UFC, the Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, Huntington Beach bad boy, that rivalry was one that was money in the bank for pay-per-view. And now both of these guys, long since retired, are possibly coming back in Bellator to have one more go at it. Is this something you are even remotely interested in?
Remotely, yes. That's it. This octogenarian contest is probably not worthwhile. It's just going to be an old school slugfest.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it just for the simple fact. I mean, you're right. It's remotely interesting because we saw how the first two went. we pretty much think the third one's going to go the same way. But it's another step closer to my master division. That's all I know.
I like a notion of a master's division.
Oh my
I'm
gosh!
telling you, man.
I'm rolling my eyes.
Dan the Predator Fry, you know. Good old, let's see, Dan Severn, Don Fry. We got...
Take Abbott? You're going to bring Take Abbott?
I think we could do that. We could hit the paddles for him, you know, get the paddles out for him to resurrect. I mean, you know, we could see Frank Shamrock in there, you know. I mean, there needs to be a good Masters division. Just give me 10 fighters. Heck, we can even do an open weight tournament. It don't matter anyway. They're all juiced to the gills by now anyway. So, you know, let's do this, you know.
Oh man,
I'm good for it.
All right,
I'm good for it. You know.
Speaking of open weight, Road FC. It's a Korean fight promotion. Had an open weight fight. Gabby Garcia versus Veronica Futina. Gabby Garcia weighed in at 235 pounds. These are females. 235 pounds, and I'm talking about it's not fat, it's muscle. And she fought Veronica Futina at 190 pounds. She had a 45-pound weight advantage. Like, the UFC doesn't even allow this.
The thing with Gabby, though, is Gabby is naturally just huge. There is no amount of weight cut that she can do that will ever get her down to a size where she can fight in the UFC. And for her to be that much bigger than her opponents isn't uncommon, because you're not going to find athletically just talented people who are 6'2", 240 pounds as a female. Like, that's just not common.
Yeah.
So it's going to be this way for most of the people Gabby fights, that she's going to look just like an athletic outlier compared to them.
If you look at the face-off, though, you watch the video of the face-off, it looks like a pit bull facing off against a chihuahua. It is just bizarre. It's like, is this really a fight that they are going to sanction? I mean, John, does that strike you as just odd? Like, 40-pound weight difference? That doesn't happen.
Unless it's Kaleshi versus Ryan.
Uh-oh, here we go.
My belt says that it's possible to be the underdog, so all right.
Okay, so you know, we're gonna have it out. I'm gonna let you say your piece, John, and then I'm coming back for you, Casey.
Well, I'm gonna say that with Gabby Garcia, if you've never seen her fight, you should see it. It is a spectacle. I mean, she looks. I mean, the only female fighter that will remotely even have a chance against her is Fallon Fox. And if you don't know who Fallon Fox is, brother. Okay, and that's it. And I yield my time and the floor back to you, Ryan. Okay.
So this notion that 40 pounds doesn't make a difference between Ryan and KC. This is a reference.
I thought you were over that.
This is a reference of our second. The second in our series of fights, because
no, the first one was the same. In fact, you weighed more than 40 pounds.
No,
over my weight in the first fight.
I did not. I was 260 pounds in the first fight. You were 230. That's 30 pounds.
I came in at like 227. All right.
Okay, that's 33 pounds. It's not 45.
Like, hey, let's be precise about these.
Let's do math. Math. It's what's for dinner. The second fight, yes, I did come in. You know what it was is, you know, originally I made weight. I rehydrated, and so, you know, I'm not sure that the scale was accurate after I rehydrated.
He rehydrated with chicken and pizza.
Yeah, but it was good too. The thing is, though, what were you weighing that night? You were at least 230.
No, I wasn't.
What were you? Do you remember?
I was 232 that night.
Yeah, so I was 270. So that's not 45 pounds. It's 40. Oh. It's 40, but it's not 45. That's 5 pounds to make a difference. If you've ever lifted weight, you put those 2.5s on, it goes from liftable to impossible to lift. It's 5 pounds.
or it goes from making weight to Mackenzie Durning it.
Here's my thing.
Oh.
Here's my thing. Let's just remember what your passport says. Officially, how many wins do you have? None. But you do have a belt. How that happens? The world, like the two most crazy things that have ever happened in this world is trying to find out how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop, and how KC can have a trophy and a belt and still be 0-2 versus me.
Hey, feel free to come and get from my cold dead hands.
You know what? I'm gonna let you hang on to that. That is Finding the Angles. We're going to go into a segment that we only do a few times. We don't do it very often, but we have to do it this time because of some craziness that was going on. This is the Heavy Bag.
The Heavy Bag.
All right, the Heavy Bag is our segment where we get some things off our chest. We go in on these topics until there is nothing left to say. We've got 3 topics that we need to cover. Each of us has something to get off our chest. The first one I'm going to give over to you, Mr. John Keys. Tim Kennedy, former Green Beret, former Army specialist, waterboards himself. He's former UFC and Strikeforce fighter. He waterboarded himself on Twitter, and in his comments, he was proving, because he could take it, that was not torture.
Oh, what, my first heavy bag? Yeah, about that. Okay, so for anybody who doesn't know me by now, I've served 7 years in the Army, Ordnance Corps all the way. All right. A Green Beret is one of the oldest special forces units that there ever been. Okay, these guys are trained to be jungle fighters. They're trained to basically start insurgencies in different countries. That said, one part of their training is to resist torture. All right, waterboarding is torture. There is no point, ifs, ands, or buts about it. You can name it however you want. Enhanced interrogation technique, whatever. When you are strapped to a chair and you're forced to do something that you're not wanting to do, that's torture, okay? And to waterboard yourself, which if anybody who doesn't know what waterboarding is by now, it's when they take, basically they tilt your head back, they put cloth over your face, and then they pour a gallon of water over your face to simulate drowning. Now, if you want to be stupid enough to try that, go right ahead. But please, please, please have some friends around you that like you, okay? Because
you mean like Tim Kennedy did?
Yeah, about that. Yeah. Yeah, if you don't have friends that like to laugh at you, they'll keep trying to do that, okay, until you are drowning, all right? It's for him to do that, he's used to doing this, okay? That's nothing to him. That's like a guy that is used to eating, Carolina Reapers for a year straight, taking a one-chip challenge. It does not work, okay? And for him to sit there and say that, oh, this is nothing, this isn't torture, it is exactly torture. And, God forbid, if anything, that was very reckless on his part as being someone, being a soldier, because as us soldiers, I tend to hold us at a higher standard than the rest of the people because we carry such a clout about us and such a responsibility because we've done things that people don't do, and that's go to war. And he knows better than to do that because now we're going to have some kids that are on the natural selection side of the game. They're going to try this. They're going to call it the waterboarding challenge because we see a guy that can say it and he's like, oh, no, it's not torture at all. And so we're going to start seeing that on Instagram and everything like that. So that's going to be natural selection as far as I'm concerned. He should know better. And as far as I'm concerned, he was a fighter that I respected right up there with Brian Stan. Guess what? Tim Kennedy, you lost my respect for that. Don't go around doing something irresponsible and reckless as saying that things like that is not torture. If you guys really want to know what torture is, and I've suffered through a lot of it just to test it out because, I was young, I was in the Army. When you're 24 in the Army, you do stupid things. Just sit down and kind of like, hold a chair and have somebody drip a little drop of water on your forehead for about an hour and see if that's not torture. Okay? And that's easy stuff. Okay? And there's much worse things to do. But yeah, if anybody's listening to this and you think about doing some waterboarding, don't. Just from one military man to a civilian, don't do it. Don't do better things. Read a book, do something better.
All right.
And
all right.
I think I'm good. Yeah.
All right. You wailed on it. That bag is beaten up. That is that is all that we can say about that. That is incredible. KC, you got anything on that?
I'm just going to refrain from that because there's I haven't been a Tim Kennedy fan or a Cowboy Cerrone fan in a long time. These guys take machismo to the next level in a way that is really nonsensical. There's so little positive that could come from either of those two outside of what they do in the ring. Their life outside of the octagon is trash.
All right. The one thing that really stuck out to me was that, Tim Kennedy did this, and this is what you were saying, John, that Tim Kennedy did this surrounded by friends who was basically doing this waterboarding to him. That what makes it torture is the sleep deprivation. What makes it torture is not being trained to resist torture. What makes this torture is the fact that this is happening to you and you don't know for how long. Yeah, in a non-controlled environment where someone is doing this to you, you don't know how long it's going to take. You don't know how many times you're going to have to be subjected to this, and all of this is happening under the cover of darkness, being whisked away from your land, all that type of thing. Now, I am not in any way saying that people who are enemy combatants or even, collaborating with terrorists, deserve to be given kid gloves. But at the same time, there are human rights. There are things that we as Americans and the pride that we have in our country that we do not do. That's what makes us Americans. Yeah. That's what makes us Americans. That's what makes us stand apart from those people who are terrorists, who would resort to the types of tactics that they resort to. When we begin to torture people, then we become no better than them, and that is not the American ideals that we all believe that our country stands for. KC, I got one for you. Oh, go ahead.
Wait, I want to hit one thing here though, because this will for sure come back up on Twitter and Instagram. Don't at me. Let me start there. Don't at me at all. But it's this notion that we tell other fighters, hey, keep your politics to yourself. Why is it on this side, like, these guys are getting adulation and it's, so cool that you're able to do this. So for other fighters, keep your politics to yourself. For Tim Kennedy, hey, American hero, everything you say is just gold. That's problematic. There's a lot of hero worship happening there.
All right. So
Indeed.
So I'm gonna pull out another heavy bag. KC, this is yours.
So you know how I am in the gym, real life. I don't do endurance training, so I'm just gonna hit this hard once and walk away.
All right. Give load up on that. Load on that kick. Mike Perry says he is 2% African, so he is allowed to say the N-word. And I'm gonna back away from this because I'm not holding on.
Man, so just throw the whole man away. There's no percentage that makes it okay. Well, that's just where I'm going to stand. There is no percentage of it that makes it okay, especially when you can identify with majority culture. It's problematic. And if you really want to say, you can use the N-word freely, then feel free to suffer and always identify as a minority in every way. Like it's there's so many things wrong with this. Like initially my thought was, all right, so you want to do this? Then you should fight John Jones. And then I looked up his Instagram. Oh man. So he's already training at Jackson Wink. And apparently him and John Jones are partying. So I don't know. Maybe it's some of that John Jones influence and they got into that powder. Like, I don't know what would possess a man to say something so foolish. Drug test that man. That's all I'm saying. I'm walking away from it.
He is not on the 25 clean fighters list for USADA. Just want to put that out there. John, do you want to take a couple of punches on this heavy bag?
You know what I do? I myself, okay, I personally say that an intelligent man need not use harsh language or even abusive language or even any type of cussing. And for him to sit there and say that, I'm just like, well, that shows you, first of all, that shows where you're at, where you're struggling to go for a word that really stands for an ignorant fool, if you look it up in the dictionary. Okay? If that's your range, if that's what your hopes and your aims are, because you went so far as to pick up an ancestry DNA test to get your 2% in there, go for it, man. I'm happy for you. However, I and my family shall not be like that. Okay, I say, and I say it to say this, that, nobody should ever strive to use that word. Okay, it's a word that has been used over decades to insult a culture, another culture. It's a word that has nothing positive behind it. So why would you use a word that is not positive reinforcement about yourself, about your brethren, about a people? That's all I got to say about it. It's ignorant, and he needs to let it go, and he can dismiss himself if on top of that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna slide in real quick, Ryan, before you wrap that. I just want to say my biggest problem with it is it sets a terrible, terrible precedence. Because if you look at how people have such a low percentage of African American in their bloodline, it's usually a problematic story. And now, so anyone who has any trace of African American ancestry can use this word. I think you're gonna. Look, the way I feel about it is like, Mike Perry, come at me. You can catch these hands. And feel free to say it, but you can catch these hands.
I'd like to think that he was just making a joke, like, haha, my ancestry came back, there was 2% African, so therefore I can say the word. What's problematic for me is that he actually did say the word. He didn't, show respect and say N-word. He actually said the word. And I think that that's problematic because, what's always stood out to me is this notion that this mystical nature that this word has for some people, that they want so badly to say it because it is forbidden, because it is, by our society standards, a word that should never be used, that we should remove from our lexicon. So only people who seek to divide, only people who would seek to hurt other people would fight for the right to use that word. Before people who are listening to the podcast go on and ask the question, I'm going to go ahead and address it. And that is, well, then why can black people say it? I can say that the best way to explain that is what I saw on a video of a speaker talking to an audience member who asked that same question. And what he said is that he is in a relationship, he's married, and his wife has a pet name for him. And so that is a name that she calls him, something like Sweetie. If a random woman off the street called him Sweetie in front of his wife, that would be a problem. And I think that we all understand that there are words between people that are off limits for us to say, that just in this case, a random woman could not call him Sweetie, and we understand that that is off limits, then so too should this word for the community in which uses and which, so-called takes ownership of and uses. That becomes a word that exists within the community, and it has nuance and it has a different meaning than just what we are taught the word means, the dictionary definition. And I think that he ended his speech very eloquently when he said, you have to ask yourself, why do you want so badly to say it? that there's got to be something that you've got to search inside yourself. Of the hundreds of thousands, almost millions of words that exist in the English language, why is it that you want so badly to be able to gain access to a word that only has that has a different meaning within the culture that that has taken ownership of it? And so I leave this conversation, I'll wrap this conversation up with that question to Mike Perry. Mike, why do you want so badly to use that word? Last one, the last heavy bag. There's a lot of controversy coming out of the UFC 224 in between rounds 4 and 5 for Raquel Pennington. Raquel Pennington, after having her nose broken by a devastating Muay Thai knee from Amanda Nunes, between rounds turns to her corner and says, "I'm done. I'm done." And rather than throwing in the towel for their fighter, her corner begins to say no, no, no. And it was recorded that they said, "Change your mindset. We'll recover later. Throw everything you've got at her." And they would not let Raquel Pennington finish the fight. And there are tons and tons of fighters and bystanders in the general MMA community who are upset with this decision to force Raquel Pennington out into the 5th round to take more damage than she had taken, in the previous 4 rounds, with a broken nose, with cuts all over her face, and take additional damage, which she did. She only lasted a couple of more minutes before the referee stopped the fight, leaving a literal pool reflecting the lights of that so much blood on the mat, because her corner ill-advisedly sent her out into that fight. But there is another side to the story, and we need to think about the fact that you have to trust your corner. You have to trust your coaches, because they know what your limits are. They know that you can push through things. We've all had times where we've wanted to quit in training. We've all had times when we wanted to quit when we didn't believe that we could make it through, and someone was there to tell us, ask us, beg us, one more, do one more rep, throw one more punch, throw one more kick, go one more mile. And we've done it, and we've surprised ourselves. And so in some regards, that could be what was going on there, that they believed in Raquel Pennington to go in there and fight for one more round, because this was a championship fight. These fights don't come every day, and this may be Raquel's last chance to fight for the title. And so to say that I did not fight that 5th round for whatever reason is something that for many fighters becomes a stain on their memory that they keep second guessing for the rest of their lives. However, and then I'll let you guys throw a couple of punches at this heavy bag. Ryan Songalia on Twitter posted a video of Showbox Devin Haney versus Mason Menard. It was a 10-round fight. They were between rounds 9 and round 10. And the coach looked at his fighter and said, "We're done." He said, "We couldn't catch him. We're only going to get better from here. I'm so proud of you. No sense in you taking abuse." It's stark, the difference between Raquel Pennington's coach in her corner when she is saying, I'm done, and seeing the damage that she's taken, and them urging her to go out, and seeing the result of that with the blood that was left in the ring. And then these fighters seeing these coaches in this boxing match, seeing their fighter being outclassed, saying, "Hey, we didn't get him. We'll only get better from here. I'm so proud of you. We'll get him next time." I think that Raquel needed that in her corner that night, not someone urging her to go farther, to take more damage, to see if they can gut out a win against a foe that was never in any danger. This is one of those times where you cut your losses, and I think that they made a bad decision, and I hope Raquel Pennington recovers very quickly. Either one of you guys have anything that you want to say on this?
I vehemently disagree. I think you're right. It is your corner's job to be able to assess the situation and determine if you got that one more rep in you. And the reality is, yeah, she was getting beat. She was getting beat down, but she wasn't injured. And that was the key. Like, so if we didn't have that pool of blood that comes because that knee just got to her, are we still having the same conversation? Like, so if one freak shot that gets through and opens her up doesn't happen, it's a completely different conversation. Then it's like, congratulations to her corner for pushing her to at least have a puncher's chance. So, I think we're putting too much weight on 2 shots that landed that opened her up versus, yeah, you're a fighter. You trust your corner. You go out there and you keep fighting.
John?
Well, the way I feel about it, I hear both sides of the story, and I can agree and disagree with both sides. I'll just put it out like this. There comes a point, and you're right, Casey, that it was 2 shots that we're questioning. But understand this. There are 2 shots that we are questioning, okay? If her nose wasn't broken, fine. If she wasn't in a pool of blood on the ground, fine. She went out there and she did her best. I can think of a couple of times that we've listened to corners push their fighters. One was Greg Jackson and George St. Pierre. George St. Pierre sat there and said, "I've broken my hand." And Greg Jackson looked at him and said, "Then punch with the other one." I mean, and that's, I understand the whole pushing your fighter to that next level, but there comes a point that you have to take into account, what type of damage he's taking. It's one thing if it's an athlete that's a runner, that's in track and field, that's doing that, okay, that you push them, you constantly push them. Even in gymnastics, if they're being pushed like that. It's another thing that when they're doing a sport that will put lasting effects on them. We needed that boxing coach in that ring that night to tell her, look, you did everything you could. You just couldn't do it tonight. Okay, we're proud of you. You left everything in the ring. It's over. We needed that for her. Okay, we needed, just like with Rhonda and her coach telling her, yeah, keep punching. Your boxing is great. Your boxing is excellent. And she got punched. She got beat so bad that she got beat standing up. And I mean, she got beat up and was knocked out standing up. And that's bad coaching on any level. Okay, we cannot, in order for the sport to survive, to thrive in the eyes of the public, we cannot have that going on. We can have a coach pushing a fighter that is clearly mentally, most important, but physically broken. That's in my opinion, and me being from the military, where they push us constantly to be the best that we can be. There comes a level when you're like, they're going to hurt themselves to a point where they cannot recover. And I would like to see what Rocky's going to look like in the next couple of days. Because I guarantee, if she doesn't divorce that team, then she's going to end up hurting herself badly. And I would rather see her say, goodbye to that team, I'll find a new team that's going to look out for my better well-being.
Yeah, I think you do have a point there in so much as you were relying on a puncher's chance at that point. That there was, if you listen to the conversation in the ring or in the corner at the time, he did not give her any strategy. At least in the example with George St. Pierre and Greg Jackson, he's like, punch with the other hand. This was relying on a puncher's chance when there had given 4 rounds of trying to have a puncher's chance. Hope is not a strategy, right? That's all they were hoping for. And the fact is that Raquel Pennington herself knew that at this point, there was nowhere else for her to go. The results speak for themselves. She came out in the 5th round. She got taken down immediately. She got mounted, or it was side control, and Amanda Nunes was grabbing her all in her face, dropping elbows and dropping forearms right on her broken nose. She turned over, covered up, started taking shots, and the pool of blood coming out of her nose was still coming out even after the fight was over and they were in the post-fight comments. This was a bad decision. I know that there's the armchair quarterbacks or everybody's second guessing this coach. But this is the result. When you make a bad decision with no strategy, this fight, people get injured, people get hurt. And my heart goes out to Raquel Pennington on this. So KC, I'm gonna let you have the last word. That silence is good. I'll take silence.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. No, seriously. Do you have something else you want to say?
Nope. I was on mute and realized, you know what? Maybe that was for the best.
All right. Okay. So that is the heavy bag. We got one more segment to go. That is the fight card. Let's get right into it. This is the fight card. This is where we look at the fights coming up this weekend. There is only one promotion who's got the show, got the center stage. That is the UFC. They're going to Santiago, Chile, where Damian Maia is coming in as a late fight replacement for Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Kamaru Usman. I think this is going to be a great fight.
Weight?
Damian Maia will make weight. I'm confident that he will. Let's just go through and we'll make some flash fight picks. We've got Vicente, the silent assassin, Luque versus Chad, the disciple Laprise at a welterweight fight. Veronica Macedo versus Andrea KGB Lee. This lady, I've seen her on Instagram. Can you believe it, Casey? I'm on Instagram.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's right. Things are changing up in her. But she is a new Sabat. That means that she's brand new to the UFC. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to her there. Diego Pitbull Rivas versus Guido Ninja Canetti. You got Jared the Killer Gorilla Cannonier versus Dominic the Devastator Reyes. In the co-main event, you got number 9 Alexa Grasso versus number 12 Tatiana Suarez. And then in the main event, it's a welterweight fight. Number 5, Damian Maia versus number 7, Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare Usman. I'm going to go to John first. You got a flash fight pick.
I'm going to go with Damian Maia. I love everything about him. I love his grappling. You know, most fights started with the punches, but I think I'm going to hope that Damian gets in there, gets the grab, and pummel him down to nothing.
KC.
I think I'm going with my countryman Usman here, and I think we might get to see him at 50%.
Wow. I mean, seeing him at 50%. Woo. I mean, what's 50% of infinity?
Right? 7.
Yeah.
Math is hard. We've already established this.
As for me, I'm going to go with Kamaru Usman as well. I think that he is a problem that's difficult to solve. He's got elite grappling. He's got really good hands. I think Damian Maia is going to struggle to get him to the ground, and I think that when the fight is standing, Damian's going to take damage. All Usman has to do is watch the Colby Covington fight, just see how it's done, and I think that this is going to be a great fight for Usman because now he's in striking distance of all of those guys. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, he's in striking distance for RDA, Colby Covington, and Tyron Woodley. I think this is a great fight for him. I look forward to seeing him come in at 50% of infinity.
So he's saying that he's going to slide Colby a couple of 20s for the win, that he's about to get on Damian Maia. Is that what you're saying?
Well, you know, let's see if he exacts the same strategy. But I think that if it is the same strategy, he should slide that the couple of 20s and then demand that fight after Chicago. Because you know RDA is going to win that. But we ain't going to pick that till next time. That is our show. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. We made it. We went through an entire Combat Sports Talk episode with you guys. I had a bet. I had an over under that we would go we would be lucky if we made it to an hour and 30 minutes. We were at an hour and 25, y'all.
Nailed it.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right. Well, follow us on social media. On Twitter, I'm at CST Ryan. KC is at... Oh, I forgot you're here. You want to go ahead and knock that out?
Nope. And I am dysfunctional at apparently outros.
KC is at CST_KC, but you're better luck finding him on Instagram.
Yeah, good luck. I'm not giving that out.
Push,
You're
pull,
going to
pray.
make fun of me every time.
Push, pull, pray.
Oh, yeah, we'll do that one.
Yeah. All right. Hey, John, I saw you thinking about getting out on the social media. You have you got there yet?
You know what? I'm still thinking about it. I'm still, Twitter, Instagram. Which one do I do?
Insta.
Instagram.
Yeah.
All right. By next show, I will have an Instagram. I have an Instagram so y'all can send us the how you personally feel about my commentary on it.
All right. You can check out our website at www.combatsportstalk.com. You can find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Facebook, and Instagram. I am at Combat Sports Talk. We now have merchandise on Amazon. Just search for Combat Sports Talk. And we've added a new section on the website for live events. UFC 224 live event with George Stallworth. Listen to the commentary. I interviewed George while we were watching the fights. Really interesting stuff that he's got there, talking about Muay Thai, transitioning from Shotokan Karate to Jiu-Jitsu to Muay Thai, hearing all stories about his getting an illegal knee and fracturing his orbital. If you want to hear those types of things about a real life fighter, then check out the UFC 224 live event that's posted on the website. Our theme music is composed by Scott McCurry at scottdeancountry.com. KC Onyebuchi produced our lead-ins. I want to thank you for joining us for another edition of Combat Sports Talk. For KC Onyebuchi, I'm Ryan Smith, reminding you to keep your hands up, your chin tucked, and throw bombs.